Hello, hello, y'all, and welcome to today's party. No, that's all right. Sorry, we're doing a workshop. Sorry. Hello. Today we have a really great topic that we're going to be covering. We have a guest, Masooma Memon, is joining us today. We're going to be talking about product-led content. And so, if you're not familiar with this topic, basically it's, how do you sort of sell a product within your content without making your product or your content too salesy, right? How do you sort of blend those two strategies or those two goals together? And I think this is really sort of the crux of modern content marketing, in my experience, is sort of that art of selling without selling, if you will. And so I'm really excited to talk to Masooma. She has worked with some incredible companies over the years and done this work for a variety of different brands. And so we're going to get her insights on how she approaches product-led content and how you can apply some of her strategies to your work. Before we dive in, I do want to make a couple quick plugs here. First and foremost, say hi to us. Pop a comment in the chat. Just say hello. Let us know who's joining us today. Number two, please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That will help other people find us. Also, we host live workshops, Q&As, deep dives, all kinds of content related to content marketing, SEO, inbound, sort of the whole gamut here on this channel, at least once a month, sometimes multiple times per month. So definitely hit the subscribe button. Make sure that you stay up to date on all of our upcoming sessions. And the third thing I just want to mention is I'd like to invite you to join our community. We have a free community. It's called Top of the Funnel. And Top of the Funnel is really, where we put together all of these sessions that we host. So all of the workshops and the live Q&As and all the stuff that we are doing on YouTube and promoting through Twitter and all that stuff, it sort of lives in and through Top of the Funnel. Top of the Funnel is a free Slack community, and also includes a Notion library with over 100 resources on, again, content marketing, SEO, technical SEO, link building, all that stuff. So some of the smartest people in content marketing and SEO are part of this community and share knowledge, network, have discussions, share memes, post work opportunities. There's all kinds of really great stuff going on inside Top of the Funnel. And it's, again, a free community. So would love to have you as a member. yesoptimist.com/tofu. You can join us today, and you'll stay up to date on all the great stuff that we've got coming up. We have SEO trends in 2023 is coming up. Next month, we're going to be talking to Morty from Wix about AI and content and all that stuff. We're in the works right now putting together sort of a mini conference on Google Analytics 4, which is going to also be in June. So that's coming up. We just have a bunch of great content and sessions planned with some extremely smart people in the industry. So if you want to stay up to date on all that, again, yesoptimist.com/tofu. Join us there, and we would love to have you. Awesome. Well, let's focus on today's topic. So again, we're going to be talking about product-led content and applying the strategies to your content marketing work. And our guest today is Masooma Memon, and we're going to bring her on right now.
Hello.
Hey, Masooma, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing great. Yeah, we were just talking before the session about how we've sort of been orbiting each other for several years and interacting on socials and even working together periodically. So yeah, just really excited to have you here. Real quick before we jump in, I know we sort of promoted this as part of the session, but can you just tell folks a little bit about your background and kind of who you've worked with in the past?
All right. So I've mainly been helping SaaS brands in the MarTech space, in the e-commerce space, where I help them with the top of the funnel educational content as well as product-led content. So they entrust me with their middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel content as well. So not just like I write throughout the funnel, right? And it's mostly long form content, which is like ebooks, long guides, those in-depth ones, all of that, but the sort that feature my clients' products as well. And most of the time they the comments that I get and the feedback I get is that, oh, you understand our product, that's good, we don't find those kind of people. So which is why I thought that this topic would be a good one.
I think that's such a great point too, because sort of the meta thing about this moment, right, is that, of course, everyone's sort of freaking out about AI and ChatGPT taking your job and all that stuff. But one of the ways that you can sort of future proof yourself as a content marketer, as a writer, is to have that deep understanding of the product, right? AI can do a pretty good job of writing a lot of content, but it's not always super knowledgeable about specific features or teaching people how to do specific actions within a product, that kind of stuff. Really, most of the time, in my experience, takes sort of that human strategy and that human thinking.
Yeah, so people were freaking out that they're going to replace writers and content strategists and all those content teams. And while I was working on this, I realized actually I have I have a USP. Like I don't have to worry about pivoting to somewhere else. If I'm producing product-led content, that's not something that can be replicated so easy. And yeah, they can produce listicles, but the sort of listicles that convert, they come only with product knowledge.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's a great way to think about it, and obviously top of mind for so many folks right now. So yeah, that sounds great. I'm really excited to learn from you and your experience today.
Thank you. I'm excited to dive in.
All right. It looks like we maybe lost your slides here. You might have to set up your presentation again. Sorry about that.
No problem. We can do that.
All right. Well, we're getting this all set up. Just a quick note for the folks here. So Masooma is going to be sharing her slides today. If you have questions as we're going through, please pop those into the chat. Most likely we'll save them till the end, but we should have some time for Q&A at the end. So yeah, please, if you have questions for Masooma or want to dive in deeper on any of these topics, just drop those thoughts in the chat and we'll get on it.
Yeah, and I also want to ask what is going to be please pay attention and just let us know what is your top takeaway from today's talk. We can discuss some takeaways, what is the most important point you gathered from the entire thing that Tyler and I talk about.
Love it. Awesome. Well, are you ready to get started?
Yep, I am.
Cool. Let's do it.
Okay. Right. So most of you might already be aware that we'll be covering lots of stuff about product-led content today, which is going to be about exactly what it is. And I have examples. Initially I thought that I'll cover examples first, but I want to sprinkle them throughout the session so that you know what I'm talking about, and then backing it up with an example, right? And then we're going to learn how to strike a balance between value and product mentions, the different approaches to PLC, how to scale it, and mistakes to avoid, because these mistakes are very common, and how did it, so many good SaaS companies are making them. And they're not major mistakes, but they're subtle ones that you might be unconsciously making, but they have a huge impact as a reader, right? So we've already talked about why me. So I'm gonna move past this slide, right? And ask you before we exactly dive in. I would love to know what are some products that you might have, SaaS products that you might have discovered reading product-led content. Tyler, I'll ask you, are there any SaaS tools that you're using today that you discovered solely because you read about them on their blog or somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think honestly, if I remember way back, Hrefs may have been something that I discovered personally through researching how to do content marketing and link building and all those things way back in the day. And I still to this day think that they're one of the examples that I always show for product-led content and how to weave your product.
I have them here as well. They're very well known for the product-led in the product-led content field. So what have the rest of you discovered using SEMrush and Ahrefs? They're like I don't want to use the word, it's kind of cliche, but the gurus when it comes to product-led content. Okay. So I think the thing is, it's just not only Ahrefs and SEMrush. I've also discovered Miro. Yeah, ClickUp. That's very nice, right? And then there is Miro, there's Trello, which has become a go-to project management system. There is Todoist to make to-do lists. There are lots of other tools that I have and we have discovered because of product-led content, right? So product-led content is basically nothing more. It's just simply what it is pitching your product in your content, right? But while you're doing that, you have to take a buffer is a very good one. Yes, I'm sorry, I had to say. So the thing is, when you're pitching your product, you have to earn the right to pitch it first, right? You have to make sure that you're taking an educational approach to it, which means you cannot be salesy. So when you're taking a an educational approach, what you can drive tons of benefits by taking that approach. Okay, which includes building first, because you're being educational, you are creating brand awareness. You are telling people what your brand does, what your SaaS tool does, right? And if you're not going to tell them, how else are they going to find out, right? So not only does it educate, but it also converts, right? So it brings in new users for you. Then if you're writing or covering product led content on other features, what you're doing is you're educating your already paying users to discover more features, and in a way making them spend more time and become more addicted to your app, which is helping you improve user retention. And then the fourth benefit that we have over here is you reduce activation time. So let me give you an example. We have Trello, right? I discovered them using product led content, right? So that's customer acquisition. First, it's brand awareness. Like I built a familiarity, they built a familiarity, I built a I became familiar with the tool, and I'm like, okay, this might just be the solution that I want. Way back when I did not know which project management tool to use for myself as a freelance business owner, right? And then um, I kept reading their blogs, right? And so they showed me how exactly their tool works by showing me exactly what their tool is capable of and how it can help me and exactly how it works. They reduce the activation time because from their blog post, I could tell how I could set a board, and I was, ready to set. I just set up my first Trello board within seconds. So the aha moment within the app, the activation time was relatively less. So you're contributing to reducing activation time as well. And then I keep reading their blog posts. So I discovered checklists in Trello. Tons of other features, which kind of helps improve user retention. So now I keep using it. And if you pay close attention, I'm talking about it with you. So I'm also helping improve the word of mouth. So there are tons of benefit of product-led content over here, right? But the thing is, what happens usually is there are two types of camps over here. Even though it's as simple as it's educational content, you provide value, you earn the right to pitch, but it's not as rosy out in the open. It's not like that, because there are two camps over here. There are people who are overloading product mentions, and then there are people who are underloading product mentions. So those companies, content teams that are underloading product mentions, let me just tell you, your marketing, one, and two is that we as users, we're not talking about as marketers right now, but as users, if you take us, we love product led content because you're essentially helping us solve a problem, right? So if you go back to my example on Trello, you would see that they solve the problem for me, right? I have everything in one dashboard. I can have everything set up in my Kanban board. So it's solving a problem. So it's okay to mention your product instead of just putting out top of the funnel educational content, which is good. You're okay to include product mentions. That's how you can, like they say, closed mouths don't get fed. You have to talk about your product. But then we'll talk about how to talk about it a little bit further, right? And then there's the other camp where they squeeze so many mentions into the blog post, or you're like, this is not good. Like you cannot just, I start the blog, my product. I'm in the middle of the blog, my product. I'm at the end of the blog, my product. And by the time, if I stay on the page, you're telling me buy from us. You cannot force me into buying from you. And then so many product mentions. Are you insecure? Like if it were a personality, are if your blog post product led content was a personality, the kind of vibe it's giving me is that you're not confident. That's why you're talking so much about yourself. You're not actually telling me exactly how you're solving my problem. Just my feature one, feature two, feature three. But let me tell you something interesting is that I am kind of sort of a hot take of sorts. I'm not against an overload of product mentions, right? I am not against them. But there is a way to do it. That is, you take a reader first focus, right? There are three things over here when you are doing an overload of what we say product mentions, right? One, you're keeping the focus on the reader. Two, you're not doing, there's no feature bloat inside the post. So you're not talking about tons of features. Also, we'll talk about it in the mistakes section of the workshop. And the third is you are, turning up the notch on the value that you're offering so that the reader is completely okay with the product mentions that you're throwing in, because you're basically solving their problem. Goes back to keeping the focus on them. So whatever camp you are in, you have to take an educational approach, and to do that, to strike a balance, you have to take a reader first focus. Another rosy pointer, you know. But practically speaking, I have three solutions for you to focus on the reader. So how do you do that? You do that by, one, you lead with empathy. Take all your content decisions by putting yourself within your reader's shoe. So if it's a, let's say it's a top of the funnel piece and you're debating whether you want to include a product mention in it. So what you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself if I have provided enough value. So treat yourself as the reader. When you're reading, when you're planning that post, when you're strategizing about it, you ask yourself, when the person reads this, are they ready to learn about a product at this point? Like, should I slip in a slight mention, or should I tuck away the mention until the end of the post, or maybe in the middle of the post, somewhere where they don't mind, because you've already front loaded a lot of the value, you've already answered a couple of their questions, right? So that's leading with empathy. When you're planning your CTAs, you also need to take an empathy led approach. That goes for tofu pieces, because what happens with a lot of tofu content is that you talk about yada yada yada, you solve the problem, it's even a valuable post, let's say it's a very valuable post, and then it closes with sign up for a product. Why would I do that? You did not even introduce that product to me, right? And the thing with tofu content is that you cannot end up with a sign up until it makes sense to say sign up for a product. Please don't sell that way. It just turns out people, literally it does. There are so many screenshots I have inside my on my laptop that say that this is a bad example of a CTA. This is a bad example of a CTA, because you cannot force people into buying from you until you have made them aware that you have a product and this is how it helps them, right? The second point is, to keep the focus on the reader, is you touch on other solutions. This is especially helpful with top of the funnel content, right? The thing is, you don't want to treat your tool as the hero in the story, right? You want to reserve that space. You want to give that label, the hero position, to your reader. What you're going to do yourself, your job, it's to be the Alfred to the Batman, right? So you're going to provide them all the resources that help them make the decision. So you're throwing in throughout the funnel. You are not going to say, "By me." You're the Batman. You're fully capable of saving Gotham City. That is your business, right? You're fully capable of buying the right tools for your business. But here's why we are good. Here's what is good about the competition. Here's the ways we can help you. Now you decide. You're the hero. You decide. We're just your Alfred. We're going to give you all those solutions, right? The third way you can keep the focus on the reader is you empower them by making it actionable. So whenever we're reading a blog post, if you clear, it's whether it's educational, it's inspiring, etc. We want to make the other reader feel like they are empowered, like they can do something. So whenever you're talking about, let's say we're doing a piece on how to write blog content, and we are on the ClearScope blog, right? And we want to talk about how to include keywords from ClearScope. So the way you can make it actionable is that you lay out all the steps to write a blog post, and then you go into the detail of how to achieve each of those steps, right? And also include a how to detail on how to add keywords from ClearScope. So this way you're empowering your reader throughout the piece, not just in the part where you're talking about your own tool, right? So these three ways, if you follow these three ways throughout, whatever content you're creating throughout the funnel, these are going to make sure that the focus is on your reader, right? Now, the different ways you can talk about product-led content, right, throughout the funnel. So one is, we talked about it, where you are you're positioning your solution as not the only solution, but you have other solutions also, right? That is one way to include product-led content, your product mentioned within the tofu content that you're creating. A very good example over here, Tyler, I just told you we have Ahrefs over here, so it's over here. Ahrefs they do really good what we say, top of the funnel product led content. So they take this is a piece on, I believe, how to create a blog's SEO strategy, and they've laid out all the steps. They empower the reader throughout the piece, and then they have focused on telling how exactly, where exactly Ahrefs can help, right? And then the other way, which I kind of like a lot, is that you slip in a product mention as naturally and wherever it's as naturally as possible and wherever it's relevant, right? So here's an example of a piece that I did for Vimeo. It's on video marketing ideas, right, for B2B companies. And one of the pointers we had was you screen record videos, right? And within, I took a very friendly tone, and within this point number 13, like, I have all these pointers where I'm talking about the ways to create videos, the different videos that you can use in within your video marketing strategy. And on point number 13, I am slipping in a slight mention that Vimeo Record can do this for you for free. The point is, I am making it about the reader. I'm not saying, hey, we do this. I'm just saying you can record the screen record. And if you're using this strategy, I have a free tool to help you. So it's the reader focused, right? The tone is friendly, the focus is the reader on the reader, right? And then we have product-led content in the MOFU and BOFU stages, where we have us versus them. We have detailed listicles like X listicles for doing this and that, whatever is relevant to your tool. And then we have review pieces of the entire tool, that your tool, right? Now, while there are lots of ways you can do it, right? Let's take one of the examples I have here with user gems. Now, what we did for this piece was that there's this keyword user gems reviews, right? It's a very good way to bring all that traffic to you. Now, this type of a post can easily become cringe because you're talking about yourself. You might just be biased, right? But what we did was we did not say that these are the 5 features that we love. We said we just went through all the customer reviews and testimonials that we have for user gems throughout the third-party platforms. And then we found out what were the top 5 features that people were loving in it. And then the top 5 features, because below this is top 5 features that people don't like about user gems. So we're basically being the Alfred to the Batman. We're telling them that this is exactly what is good about us, and then this is bad about us also. So these are things that people dislike about user gems. But within that, we have also told them what we are doing to solve that problem. So we got the product marketing lead on this post, and we got her code, and we asked her, so this is the problem about the dashboard, etc., that people are complaining about. Can you tell us what is the problem? Like, you're reading the reviews, how can we solve it? And so we've also given a counter solution to it, that, this is the problem, but we're working on it. We realize that this is the problem. And so if it is extremely important for you right now, you can go to another tool if you like, but these are our, this is our value proposition, this is the problem currently, and this is how we're solving it. Again, empowering your reader, right? Now, creating, well, it's kind of simple, not kind of simple. Like, if you're just taking the empathy-led approach to tofu content, right? It's kind of simple to nail, but nailing product-led content within the MOFU and BOFU piece is slightly trickier, right? But you can do that by nailing these fundamentals, right? Which are, you be honest throughout your product mentions, throughout your whatever you're talking about your product, right? Because if you are assuming, and this is an assumption that a lot of SaaS companies make, is that whatever we're going to say, people are going to take it and they're just going to run with it. But people are researching it. So if I were to I were to invest in ConvertKit, right? I am not only going to be reading stuff on your blog, but I'm also going to through reviews. I'm also going to be talking to other people. So you cannot hide, you can take a Band-Aid solution. You cannot hide those negatives. You have to address them. Please address them. Tell them. Because let's say someone is in a hurry, like me. I'm in a hurry. I love ConvertKit, and I'm just going to buy it. But I buy the app, right? I get the app. I have my subscription on, but I'm inside. And I find this problem that is very important to me that I cannot solve through the SaaS tool. I'm not talking about ConvertKit over here. I'm just giving a general example, right? What is going to happen? I'm just going to churn. You lost me, and you lost my trust. And you also got some bad word of mouth, because I'm going to talk about your product. I'm going to talk and say, no, they lie. So you don't want that, right? You don't want that. You have to be honest throughout. And then another problem that a lot of SaaS companies are making is that they are bad mouthing their competitors. You don't want to do that. That's honestly not a good brand impression. It tells that you don't have confidence in your own product. Because if you were confident, you wouldn't need to backbite about other people, right? You can tell them that this is our value proposition, this is who we are for, right? And this XYZ tool or competing tool is for someone else. Now, let me give you an example is that let's say you don't have a mobile app, right? But your competitors have. First, be honest about it, you don't have it. Two, you don't badmouth it, but they have a mobile app, but they're not good. And this is his way. You say they have a mobile app, we don't have a mobile app. And if a mobile app is an extreme priority for you right now, please buy from them. Don't approach, don't, you don't have to buy us. Why do you have to beg people? You don't have to chase sales, right? They will come to you. You just have to leave a good impression. You don't have to badmouth, right? And then the third thing that you have to nail is that you have to tell exactly who you are for and how you're going to help them and who you are not for. Because a lot of people hesitate saying that we're going to turn away people, we're going to turn away potential customers if we say we are not for you. But you're not attracting the right people if you are not being honest about who you are for. So you have to be yourself, be clear on who you are, who your tool is for, and then be honest about it within your content itself, right? Now, to nail these fundamentals and to make sure that you are scaling your product led content production, you can do that with these 7 documents. The first one of these is a SWOT analysis. You pull out the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What it's going to do is what it's going to do for you is that it's going to tell you that this is a strength, this is how we're going to capitalize on it, this is a weakness, we're not going to hide it, but this is how we're going to tell how we're dealing with it. And then opportunities and threats, like you need to have a full clarity on how your product is, where it stands in the market so that you can talk about it confidently. Because if you're not clear on your strengths and weaknesses, it's not going to help. Then we have data led competitor analysis. So again, I have an example of user gems over here. What they have on their website, I don't have a screenshot over here, but what they have is what user gems does is that it tells you, alerts you of alumni customers whenever they are leaving your company. It tells sales reps they're leaving our company, and so they'll alert you they're leaving, and whenever they take the new position, you're going to tell them that, hey, you've used us in your past company, you want to use us again. So that's warm leads for you that are likely to convert. Now you can do that the same thing with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So what User Gems done is that they have done specific competitor analysis where they're telling that we've done all this work ourselves also, and then you're going to get X% of more accurate leads using User Gems compared to the Y%, which is comparatively less with LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So there's exact data they have. And this is extremely good because it tells you've done your research while you were building that product itself. Like you realize that there's a need for a product in the market. And giving this information to your content team is going to help them, produce very nice, very high converting product led content because they're clear on the product themselves. And the third document that you need. Okay, all of these documents are besides the demo. Let me just be clear. I forgot to mention that, like, whether it's a freelance writer you're working with, whether you're training a new in-house writer, you have to give them a demo. These documents come after that. And another thing that is important is that your brief has to have a section where you say, these are the features that we want to highlight. These are the features we don't want to talk about in this piece because we have other pieces in the pipeline that will be talking about this feature. So that saves you from feature bloat, and it also tells the writer which features to focus on, right? They're not going all in to figure out themselves which feature would be good over here. Okay, so the third document that you need is a feature cheat sheet. Now, what a feature cheat sheet does is it uses very simple language to explain what each of your product feature does, then links to the knowledge base to tell us exactly how to use that, and then there is a link to who exactly can help, who within your target audience is going to find it helpful, how they're going to benefit, what pain point it's going to solve, and last, it's going to tell where in their workflow they can use the exact feature. So this feature cheat sheet is really great for planning your entire content and for writing the content itself. Because when you're using an outsourced team for writing your content, they might not remember all the features about your tool. But with the feature cheat sheet, there's a quick reviser, they refresher, they can tell exactly which feature does what and which ones we can include in the content, right? Then we've got companion hero assets. Supersite has them very well. Supersite is a team that that offers creative as a service. So they have lots of designers, international based designers, right, that are producing visual assets for companies, huge volumes, right? And what they've done is they've created comparison pieces where they're talking about super site versus agencies, like why you shouldn't be working with an agency or versus a freelancer. So having these on your website itself is beneficial, as well as giving them to your content team. Like the content team will be producing it as an external content team, give it to the external content team. Is going to help you because they will have exact clarity as to why we are recommending you use a product versus an agency or a freelance. It's the same thing if you talk about to-doist. Their competitors are not only other to-do list tools, but also pen and paper, because lots of people, including myself, we make paper lists. So you need to be aware of exactly where your tool wins, plus the benefits on top of the benefits that people might have not thought. Like example, co-creating a to-do list with Tyler. I cannot do that if I am using pen and paper, right? So that's a benefit. Right. Then you need positioning doc. It's very important again because you're gonna highlight exactly how you're going to talk about your product in this document. Then you're gonna highlight how to not talk about our product. And last, how to talk about our competitors. Again, all that instructions are not bad mouthing or pointing out weaknesses of our competitors. They go in this doc and they're very important so that freelance writers know them. Because if you don't tell them, they might just think that your approach is similar to others, where you might want to badmouth the other tool. So just let them know, right? And this is a bonus. You can judge all of these. You test all the CTAs that are working for you, and then create a cheat sheet. These are the CTAs that work for us. So you can use a variation of it, or just use these because they come very well within your content, especially helpful for creating deeper funnel content, right? Sorry, that was a repetition. And then, very important example, PLC block pieces. So if you're new to it, whether you're new to it or whether there's a new writer on your team, you have to give them examples of what are high performing product led content pieces on your website. Or if you're new to it, on other pieces, like exactly what do you aspire to create with this content, right? So it just sets the expectations, and you start at the right foot, right? Last, what are the mistakes you need to avoid while you're creating this? These are very common. We talked about it in the start. You don't earn the trust to pitch the product, and it's like I'm having a very smooth experience with your content. I'm going, and then suddenly you hit me with the product CTA. Bad impression. I'm not coming back. I am not buying from you. So you need to earn your reader's trust first. Another very important point, feature bloat. It's very common. What people do is, oh, hey, we do this. Our tool does this, and it also does this. Oh, it does the fourth thing also. And there's a lot of other things also, and they keep talking about it. What feature bloat does is you don't realize is that it keeps your focus entirely on the product. You lose sight of your reader. You're not taking an empathy-led approach. There's one problem with feature bloat, and then you're overwhelming your reader with all the things that your product can do. And that overwhelm is going to prevent them, even if they were ready to convert, that feature bloat is going to overwhelm them, confuse them, and it's psychological like proven that you cannot convert people if they are confused. So you don't want to confuse the reader, you want to educate them, but take it slow. Like, it's like, don't make it a math class for them where it's very hard to understand what exactly is happening, right? And then the CTA positioning, this one is also very important, and it also kind of goes back to how and where to add the CTA. Take an empathy led approach. Even if it's a deeper funnel piece, ask yourself, this person is reading, I am the reader, I have written this piece. Now, would I naturally want to try the piece, try the tool? Would I naturally want to sign up for a free trial? If not, guide them to another product led piece. It doesn't have to end, because it's never one piece that converts. It's a couple of pieces that people read. It's a couple of touch points here and there, different cross channels that people are having. So your CTA doesn't have to be, convert, convert. No, think about what you would want to do naturally and then position that CTA, and make sure that the copy is also not sign up, because there are different ways to add CTA copies. Example, one of my Vimeo pieces, what I did was I and this feature was positioned right in the middle of the blog post, right? And I was talking about something, and then within the brackets I said, you know we do this for free, you want to give it a try. That's it. The end of this piece was not going back to what I said within this, that you want to try the free trial. No, it's okay. Whoever read that piece in depth, they will find value and they'll convert. So the language, the positioning, everything about the CTA matters big time. And one of the easiest ways to nail your CTAs is to take an empathy-led approach to it. And then the last factor that you have mistake that you have to avoid, which again a lot of companies make, is that their product-led content is text heavy. So there, what you want to do is you want to create familiarity with your product, about your product, right? You want the reader to go inside your product knowing exactly how it looks and feels, because your content has already built that connection with them, already educated them. So use those inside the product screenshots, use GIFs or GIFs, whatever you prefer to call them. Use them. Use short tutorials, explainer videos. Use them. Why aren't you like, show the damn tool? the the visuals are going to teach me a lot more than if I were to read the text alone. And again, it helps with the readability, which is one of the core principles for writing good content. So you have to make sure that you're not text heavy, leverage GIFs, leverage product screenshots, everything else in between. Okay, that's all. If you liked what we discussed, I'd love to keep in touch. Just scan the QR code, and that will lead you to my newsletter.
Masooma, that was awesome. I love that. I mean, just so many threads to explore here. So first of all, let me just make a quick note, which is if you're on the stream today, drop your questions into the chat, and we'll definitely get to those right now. I love the way that you sort of set up. I think that the CTA thing is the most challenging thing for folks, because it's such a mindset shift. So when I started in content marketing, I think everybody took sort of this like billboard strategy, meaning the whole goal of content marketing was just to get people to your website and then just like put a bunch of banners and CTAs in front of them, right? And like hope that some 0.001% of people would like be the right person to actually sign up, right? And I think the key here to product-led content that you've laid out for us is the content itself needs to make sense. The CTA that you're the product that you're selling, the feature that you're selling within the content needs to make sense with the content that you're writing.
Yeah, and the thing is, the more you chase them, I have a feeling that this is like a personal life mantra as well as a work life mantra, is that the more you chase them, the more they'll go away. Right? So don't chase them, right? You just tell them, we are problem solvers, and we understand your problem, and this is how we solve your problem. Now it's entirely up to you to decide what you want to do. And sometimes what happens is, when someone is not ready to convert or just thinks that you're not a good fit, they're going to send somebody else you wouldn't even know, and you'll be getting referrals. So maintain that positive impression kind of thing. Don't be pushy and don't be salesy, and what happens is you'll get more sales than you expect. So it's okay to sometimes repel people away, because they will be bringing more people in turn, basically.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that too, because you mentioned this, the idea of sort of how you do positioning for your product at bottom of the funnel, middle of the funnel, doing comparisons and that kind of stuff, which is super tricky, right? So of course, you mentioned the idea that it's not a good idea to badmouth your competitors. First of all, because you can get sued depending on what you write. So definitely you want to be cautious there. I do want to just mention really quickly. We had an amazing session a few months ago with Federico Jorge, and
On versus pieces.
Yeah, on versus competitors, and that he really broke it down though. All these very specific tips of how do you compare your product with other competitors without just saying, oh, they suck. Right? Like there's a million other ways, smarter ways. and, as you said, more honest ways, right? Like
Yeah.
people aren't fooled. Like you can't just tell them everything else is bad and your product is the best and they're going to believe you.
I know. Stop taking them for fools.
Right. I think, yeah. And I love the other sort of main point or theme that you kept touching on is, reader empathy, right? Don't treat don't treat people that come to your blog like they're idiots and you're just going to be able to sell them whatever you want. And if you just drop a big flashing banner, they're going to buy it. Like, people are not robots. They're smart. They're going to read through the lines. They're going to do their own research, so yeah, being transparent, and then also, making the content provide value first and foremost before you sell. Just so many important points there. I loved it.
Yeah, you just be like lots of us, like, we're the Batman in the story. You're not. You're the Alfred. You're the one who is doing all the housekeeping. You're the one who's going to give all those resources. Batman has to be ready to take the decision. So you get them ready. You get them there, they'll buy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And a couple people mentioned that in the chat. Real quick, I just want to mention, if you're not already following Masooma on Twitter, by the way, you can find her. She's at Ink and Copy. And then, of course, she's got the QR code here for her newsletter, and I'm guessing you can also find that on her Twitter page. So definitely find her there. Secondly, if you haven't already, please like this video for us, help other people find it and get some value from Masooma's teachings. I want to jump into the chat here. There were a couple of comments and questions. First of all, everyone really seemed to resonate with that Alfred Batman analogy, which I think is so great, right? William said it's a great takeaway. And then I believe this is Marshall, the Austin editor. He says that's a good takeaway. As creators, we think we are Batman, right? We always do. even if you're not even if you're an outsourced content writer, you think you're the hero of the story for some reason.
So I think this is the biggest takeaway that people are pointing out that we asked about in the start of this session.
Definitely, yeah. And I think that, again, it goes back to that mindset shift, right? So coming into content, thinking about it in a slightly different way of like, okay, the reader is the hero here. My job is to give them the tools they need to actually be successful in whatever they're trying to do. Because at the end of the day, that's why we read content for the most part, especially in like the B2B space, right? You don't read B2B content for fun. You read B2B content because you have a specific thing that you're trying to achieve or do or implement. And so help them do that thing. And then another key takeaway here, again, going back to the idea of leading with empathy. I think that was a great one. And then, William also was really interested in the idea of transparency and, again, sort of shining your light and letting people come to you rather than trying to badmouth your competitors. Another quick call out, if you have questions for Masooma, we do have a little bit of time here, so we can jump into any specific questions. I wanted to address this. So Nick mentioned this idea of product-led SEO, and so this is something I think we should talk quickly through, because one of the areas where I think people get a little confused or get a little lost, because we're all marketers and we do the stupid thing where we create like a million different like jargony keywords and they get really confusing. So first of all, you already kind of defined what product-led content means, sort of in your vernacular, but can you just remind us sort of how you define that?
As in, how do I define product-led content?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then we'll kind of unpack some of these other, iterations of product-led stuff.
Okay. It's just pitching your product, but in an educational, non-salesy way. And before you do that, you have to earn your readers' trust. So that's my definition for it.
Great. Okay. So that's product-led content. And I think that's sort of, it's sort of a specific strategy, a content strategy, right? Is sort of a product-led content approach. There's also all these other, product-led terms. So just to unpack that, product-led SEO, for instance, I've actually not personally read this book, but my understanding from what I know about Eli Schwartz and his book is that product-led SEO is slightly different in that it's about leveraging like the features or specific parts of your product to just generate traffic, right? So I don't know, an example might be your product has a big database of companies or something, and so you sort of surface that on like a programmatic page to generate traffic. So it's sort of a different approach. It's about using your product for SEO rather than thinking about content marketing, as we sort of define it or as we might think about it.
I feel like there are some parallels over here also, because I have not read this, and by the definition that you're going, I'm also understanding the same thing. you can create the entire, like you can pack this together. Like we have one content strategy and then we have SEO content strategy. So both are
Mm,
basically strategies, and one of them focuses heavily on driving distribution, driving traffic, or distributing the content using SEO, Google, right? So when you're creating a product-led SEO content strategy, you can combine all of this. And because when you're creating a content strategy that is based on your product, it can, you can flip the funnel basically, and
mm-hmm,
so start with all the bofu and mofu keywords, which is basically doing the SEO thing, right?
mm-hmm,
Where we talked about user gems, reviews, or us versus like with me versus Canva. So that is basically a keyword.
mm-hmm.
That is your content strategy also. So there are parallels in this, I feel.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. And I think it, it all kind of comes together when you think about, really I think this sort of idea of product led anything, stems from the, really like the sort of overall go to market strategy of like a product led sales process, right? Which generally is sort of classified as like you have some kind of a free trial or something like that, where your
Mm.
goal is basically just try the product, see how it works for you, and then you're more likely to sign up for it versus, if you think about, sales led models where it's like you go through a big sales process and you have to, sign a big contract and all this stuff, and you don't really get to try the thing before you buy it. And so I think that's been really the shift that we've seen over the last few years, is that, more and more SaaS companies, have this free trial. It's very low barrier to entry, and essentially the whole marketing strategy is built around how do I just teach people how to use this product and get them using it as quickly as possible to show them that value.
Yeah, I guess it's the marketing strategy they take, the companies take. So some are sales focused, some are into product led growth, into product led SEO, and all of that.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah. Great. Well, that's hopefully that clarifies. Again, I know sometimes this jargony stuff can get a little confusing. So if you have questions about any of those specific terms, or what they mean or how they're related, feel free to drop those in. Um, a couple other comments that are rolling in here. Yeah, delivering value. Don't treat them like idiots. Yeah, great takeaway there for sure. Um, be subtle with the CTA and not pushy. And I think that's another key thing, is that like it does, like I think the other, to take that even one step further, I think the CTA doesn't even need to be like what we think of as a CTA, right? Like sign
Yeah.
up now, buy the thing. If you look, the example you shared of like Ahrefs, right? It doesn't say sign up for Ahrefs right now. It says here's how to do the thing you're trying to do inside Ahrefs. That's the
And
CTA.
if you want
That's
to learn the advanced version, like we had the example over here about creating blog content strategy, right? And they educated about our product and they've already made us curious, right? So
yeah.
anybody who's ready to go is going to be like, I can do all of these steps. I just need to try Ahrefs. So I can do
Yeah.
the entire thing by myself. By the end of the post, you don't even have to say, so sign up for Ahrefs. You can just simply say that now, if when after you've made this blog SEO strategy, now here's how to map out your CTA strategy, create a CTA
Mm.
strategy. So you lead them to another piece, you're kind of bringing them into your content library, which is
Mm-hmm.
basically what you're doing is you're keeping educating them, and like you're providing them the resources to make their own decisions. They're not being pushy at all.
Yeah, that's another great point, is, sort of depending on what the product is, what kind of content you're writing, where it's at in the funnel, having that reader empathy and understanding, again, sometimes it doesn't make sense to say sign up for this product. Sometimes the only call to action that makes sense is read more, learn this other, learn more before you're ready to buy, because it's not going to do you any good to just pepper them with a CTA if they're not ready to buy.
Yeah, if you're keeping them within your content universe as such, you're winning.
Right, right. Yep, for sure, for sure. So this is a little bit off topic, but Mega was asking this question about writing, and obviously you are a very experienced writer, Masooma, so maybe you can offer some insight here. Um, Now AI has already affected your writing career. What would you suggest for me? So basically what she's asking is, I think maybe two questions if I can unpack this. One is,
Yeah.
do you have any sort of general tips on improving writing skills and sort of leveling up as a writer? And number two is, maybe how do we as writers, even if you're a good writer, how do you kind of future proof yourself against the threat of AI and sort of that kind of stuff?
Okay, hi Mega. So I would say to improve your writing is, one is you obviously practice it, right? You try to find your voice, but equally important is you read,
Mm,
because not many people, like there's a huge debate on this, like my belief is that good writers are good readers, are avid readers, typically. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that because there is a lot of learning about writing that you can do by reading, by observing how the other person has, expressed themselves or expressed something or described a situation and all of that. So it will kind of help you learn writing that has personality and flavor to it rather than just blend writing that is very robotic, right? Because we already have AI doing that for us. So I would say not only practice writing and don't just practice writing whatever you want to have a career in, like in not only blog posts, but also different sorts of copy. So,
Mm.
for example, writing tweets, writing a short newsletter, writing short copy, all of that teaches you a lot and it helps you improve your long form content itself because you learn a lot about how to be concise, how to say it in fewer words than it is needed. Because as a writer, your main job is to respect your reader's time. So, practicing different sorts of copy, whether you want to build a career into it or not, is extremely important, right? And then, how about the AI part? We talked about it in the start, and we said that you have to learn something that
Yeah.
AI can replicate so far. So I specialize in product led content, and I would say maybe you could do that, or because lots of you could specialize in writing newsletters for SaaS brands or something like that. The deeper you go, I I think the deeper you go within the skill set, the fewer chances of AI copying you.
Right, right, right. Well, and I think if we sort of think about AI and what it has done, right? It has essentially commoditized, putting together words into, coherent language, right? Like that is now a commodity, right? If your main skill set is I can just, put together words in a way that makes sense and uh, you know, has a basic structure, then that skill has been devalued because AI can do that just as well. But what AI can't do, right, is a lot of the strategy work, a lot of the thinking that, like we just talked about. How do I weave this product into that narrative in a very convincing and natural way that respects the reader? I mean, people are probably going to come for me and say that AI can do that. I don't know, but the point is that sort of the more you kind of move up the value chain, the better protected you tend to be from the impact of AI at this stage.
Hmm.
Yep.
Solid points.
Yep. Sure. Okay, so this is a good one, and I'm sorry, I'm covering your face, Masooma. Let me
That's why it's okay.
let me change our views really quick. Okay, so the point about CTA. So this is sort of a specific challenge that people might face here. So say you work as a writer and you're getting a brief from the client, and they basically say, hey, write about content marketing and make the CTA, buy my product. How do you? What's your responsibility, or how do you sort of navigate that as a writer who's getting that direction from a client or from a customer?
Honestly, I think it's about the way you position yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're positioning yourself as an expert, you can definitely push back because I do that a lot. And I also tell my clients as about, for example, here is an opportunity to include your product, and here is an opportunity, you know, to include a certain CTA, or this is not the right place to add a CTA. The way I do is give my reasoning and I tell
Mm-hmm.
what works based on my experience and what doesn't work based on my experience. So you have you have to position yourself as authority from the get-go, one, and two is you have to have everything that you say, every suggestion that you make has to be backed with solid reasoning, and make it, when you explain those reasons, make them readable because your clients are busy, all right? And if you just say, so this is and it's an entire paragraph, they'll be like, just stick with what we said. If you're like making it, these are my pointers, this is why I'm suggesting this is what I helped other client do, and so this is going to help you in this way. I've actually helped TubeBuddy Enterprise as well as Weed in doing what in creating pillar page based sort of content, which is a book with lots of chapters, and that is all product focused, and I have taken over the entire ideation, the briefing, the CTM mapping, the feature mapping, everything. You can do that, like, provided you position yourself as the expert. So you're just not the writer on the team, you're someone who's bringing years of experience, and not only years of experience, you're working with multiple people, so you're having
Mm,
multiple perspectives stored within here. Use them.
yeah. Yeah. I feel like you could teach a master class on positioning as a freelancer. So many great knowledge drops, and even going as deep and as specific as the way that you communicate that feedback to the client is, I mean, just clutch. Yeah, that's as someone who has been both a client and a freelancer and an agency owner, like, yeah, totally, spot on. Can't agree more. I love that. Thanks so much for sharing that insight, Masooma.
Thank you. I hope that answers your question, Tanas.
Yeah, that's I mean, it is a tough one. I will just say, personally, that's actually one of the reasons why I started an agency, is because when I was freelancing, I would work as a writer and people would hire me and they just really had no idea what they were doing from a content marketing perspective. They were just cranking out blog posts. And so I would get this kind of stuff all the time where it was like, it just didn't make sense. Like, why would the CTA line up with this topic? Like, there's no natural way to make this work, like yada, yada, yada. And so I was like, these people need more help than I can provide as a writer, right? They need a strategy. They need all this stuff to be put together. And that's sort of how Optimist came to be.
And it has a very nice working model also.
We do our best. Cool. Just a quick shout out here. Thank you. And then Tanaz was also saying thank you. Yeah. And then, yeah, so William was just saying, yeah, going back to the idea of AI, again, yeah, I think this is very true, right? This sort of the stage we're at with AI right now is, yeah, it knows a little bit about everything, basically, right? But it doesn't necessarily know a lot about any particular one topic, or is not an expert. And so that's where you can, again, differentiate yourself and differentiate your content.
At this point, there's a lot of human input needed. You cannot, at this point, it cannot replace us. And even if it does like get to the point where it's writing really nice, you still need to be including expert opinions, bringing out in-house expertise within the content. Whatever tools like ChatGPT produce, it's already on the internet. And
Right.
if you say you're scaling BS content using AI, but if you want to have a point of view as a company, you will still need humans.
I love that. Well, hopefully for a long time to come.
Yeah.
Cool. We're just down to the last couple of minutes. So if there's any final questions, please pop those into the chat really quick, and we'll try to get to them. In the meantime, a couple reminders here. First of all, thank you so much to Masooma for joining us today and sharing so much of her knowledge. You can find her on Twitter, again, at Ink and Copy. And she's got a newsletter as well that you can sign up for to get more information about what she's working on and how you can continue to level up. Secondly, I just want to mention again, if you haven't already, please like our video. Just help us get found on YouTube and continue to grow our audience here. And lastly, inviting you to join Top of the Funnel, our free community. Masooma is, I believe, a member of Top of the Funnel as well.
Yes, I was going to add that it's one of the best communities that you can be part of. So it's good for professional growth and career growth because you can meet all those. If you're writers or your content strategists, you need to bring SMEs to your content like we were talking about right now. You can get those. You can connect with the right people. And tofu.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, definitely join us there. yesoptimist.com/tofu and join us for upcoming sessions. Ask questions, learn from some of the smartest folks in content marketing. Cool. Well, we've got a couple minutes left, but it doesn't look like there's any more questions at the moment. So I think we'll just cut it. We'll wrap it up a little bit early. Again, Masooma, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us today and sharing all this great information. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it was really nice. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you again for inviting me.
Awesome. Well, thanks y'all as well for joining us today, and hope everyone has a great rest of your day. See you all very, very soon. Cheers.
Bye.